Hi, my name is Vikrant Narang. I am your Astro Buddy at PiMatrix. At PiMatrix, our mission is to bring sky closer to you, and our motto is sky is not the limit. And right now in this video, I'll be sharing with you about our wonderful Helix telescope, and I'll be teaching you how to use this telescope. Helix is a Newtonian reflector telescope which is having a parabolic mirror. This telescope's aperture or the diameter is 130 mm. This telescope comes with 4 eyepieces. Starting from the lowest magnification, we start with a 25 mm Kellner eyepiece. Then we have a 20 mm erecting eyepiece. Then the next eyepiece is Kellner 10 mm, and after that we have a aspheric 6 mm 62-degree eyepiece. So each of these eyepiece gives you a different magnification. Apart from that, we also have a 2x Barlow lens which can increase the magnification further, but we hope that you will not require to go any further than that. This mount is called an equatorial mount. So this is a tripod which makes the telescope very stable. Above that we have the mount, which is the equatorial mount, and then we have the optical tube assembly. There is an accessory tray given so that you can keep all your accessories conveniently at one place. Then this tripod has these extendable legs and locks. So हमने make sure that whenever you're using this, all the legs are at same height so that this place is perfectly horizontal. That means it should be leveled. Moving up, we have the equatorial mount. Now let's see, this is a counterweight. This is the counterweight shaft. Below counterweight, this bolt is also called a toe saver. That means it saves your toe. So आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं, ये जो पार्ट है इस टेलीस्कोप का, इसको हम राइट असेंशन एक्सिस कहते हैं, और इस एक्सिस के अराउंड इस टेलीस्कोप को हम इजीली घुमा सकते हैं, और ये वही एक्सिस है जो अर्थ का जो एक्सिस होता है हमारे को इस एक्सिस को उसके पैरेलल रखना होता है. ये जो है ये डेक्लिनेशन एक्सिस कहलाता है, और टेलीस्कोप इसके अराउंड भी इस तरह से मूव कर सकता है. दिस इज द लॉक फॉर द डेक्लिनेशन एक्सिस. दिस इज द लॉक फॉर द राइट असेंशन एक्सिस. These knobs are slow motion knobs. The slow motion knobs control the declination axis. This particular slow motion knob controls the right ascension axis. These slow motion knobs are tightened here with this grub screw and this grub screw. I can also place this on the other side of this telescope if I find it convenient. So I can attach this on the other side. Now आप यहाँ पे देखेंगे इस माउंट पे यहाँ पे कुछ नंबर्स लिखे हुए हैं 0, 20, 40, 60, 80 एंड सो ऑन. एंड मेरे पास यहाँ पे एक बोल्ट है जिसको मैं इजीली घुमा सकता हूँ और इस पॉइंट को रेज कर सकता हूँ. दिस इज द लैटिट्यूड स्केल एंड देयर इज अ पॉइंटर हियर. नाउ यू विल रोटेट दिस टू गेट द राइट latitude. In my case, we are at New Delhi. So New Delhi's latitude is 28.5 degrees. So I have to make sure that this pointer is at 28.5 degrees. उसके बाद हम देखते हैं इस माउंट पे ऊपर जाते हैं तो आपको देखते हैं ये एक सैडल बना हुआ है. यहाँ पे 2 लॉक्स और बने हुए हैं जिसने इसको ग्रिप किया हुआ है. इस ब्लू कलर की प्लेट को हम डवटेल प्लेट कहते हैं, और डवटेल प्लेट से these are the 2 telescope rings. The telescope is fitted inside these 2 telescope rings, and telescope rings have been tightened. The telescope is tight using these nuts, these knobs, and इस telescope के ऊपर आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं एक red dot finder लगा हुआ है which is a pointing device which will help us point this telescope. and यहाँ पे हमारा focusing system लगा हुआ है जो कि एक rack and pinion focusing system है, और इसके अंदर एक डस्ट कैप है और यहाँ पे भी एक डस्ट कैप है. एंड यू कैन सी देयर इज अ स्मॉलर डस्ट कैप हियर. सो नाउ दिस इज अ बिगर डस्ट कैप एंड देयर इज अ स्मॉलर ओपनिंग हियर which is sub aperture of this telescope. Now let's understand how to get this telescope ready for observing. So as a first step, you have to make sure that all your tripod legs are at equal height so that this is leveled. And in the second step, we will have to balance this telescope. So मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ अब बैलेंसिंग हमने किस तरह से करनी है इस टेलीस्कोप की. So सबसे पहले हमें क्या करना होगा कि ये जो दो नॉब्स हैं, यहाँ पे मैंने आपको बताया था कि एक राइट असेंशन की लॉक नॉब है और यहाँ पे ये डेक्लिनेशन की लॉक नॉब है. तो यहाँ पे मेरे को इन दोनों नॉब्स को पहले फ्री कर देना है so that the telescope can move in both the axes freely. Now I have to keep the telescope horizontal like this. First I'm going to balance out of the two axes. I will have to balance one of the axes. So what I mean to say is that मेरे को दोनों axis पे telescope को balance करना है, लेकिन each axis has to be independently balanced. तो अब हमने क्या किया है कि ये वाला जो नॉब है जिसको हम RA लॉक कहते हैं, इसको मैंने लॉक कर दिया है. तो अब टेलीस्कोप ऐसे मूव नहीं कर रहा. टेलीस्कोप इज जस्ट मूविंग लाइक दिस. सो दिस लॉक इज स्टिल इन अनलॉक पोजिशन. तो आप देख रहे हैं ये आगे गिर रहा है. सो आई हैव टू लूजन दीज रिंग्स. Also then slide the telescope back because most of the weight of the telescope is in front. One more care has to be done, that telescope should be balanced the way it has to be used. So I will be removing this because while using the telescope I am not going to be having the cap. I will put an eyepiece here. There are two eyepiece tightening grub screws. Both I have made loose. And I am inserting the eyepiece. Like I have to check the balance position while it is in horizontal position. So I have to loosen it, pull it towards myself. Now you can see it is balanced. So I will tip it a little, tip it a little. Not a lot. So even if I do it a lot, then it will show you that it's not balanced. What we have to check is just कि जब इसको मैंने horizontal position में रखा है ऐसे, तब ये अपने आप move नहीं करना चाहिए. This much is good. Now we have to tighten the rings. Now the balancing in declination axis is done. Now we have to lock this axis. Now I will unlock the right ascension axis and I find that the telescope is falling on the other side. So अब मैंने इसको I have to pull this counterweight shaft backwards so that the telescope at the position where the telescope feels balanced. So now the telescope is balanced and I will move to the next step, which is polar aligning the scope. So this particular axis we have to point towards the pole star, or we have to point towards the north direction. So first of all I will have to check my geographic latitude. So I am in New Delhi. My geographic latitude is 28.5 degrees north. So right here there is a scale. So I will rotate this and keep it to 28.4. Half of the polar alignment is done. Second half, how you are going to do? We have to loosen this knob below the mount. Now you can see my telescope can move in any direction. So I have to find my pole star. Loosen this, bring it in the north direction. यहाँ पे एक arrow भी बना हुआ है. So I have to make sure that this arrow is in north direction. So now it is in the line with the pole star plus this angle is set. So this will give me crude polar alignment. So once my polar alignment is done, I can proceed to the next step. So the next step is that we have to align the finder scope, which is a red dot finder here. This is the red dot finder. It has certain buttons. There is a rotatory knob. I can switch it on, and once I switch it on and take it to full power, there is a red dot which comes inside and which can be seen from inside. ये steps आपको हर बारी अपना telescope use करने से पहले, जब भी आप field में ले जाएंगे, आपको हर बारी एक रात के लिए करना पड़ेगा. और एक बारी करने के बाद आप अगर उसको टच नहीं करेंगे तो आपको दोबारा नहीं करना पड़ेगा. So you have to be careful. This is an important step. When we are using the telescope, it will be having a dust cap which you will remove and then put the lowest power eyepiece, which is Kellner 25 mm eyepiece. There are two grub screws. I've removed them. Now I put this eyepiece here. Many times beginners tell that, okay, I'm not able to find the object. There can be many reasons, and one of the reasons can be that when you try to use the telescope, you are putting it at its highest magnification and you don't have that experience. So when you start to drive a car, you have to start learning it by driving it very slowly. So same way, when you start using a telescope, use at the lowest magnification at the easiest object. Now I'll go behind my telescope, loosen these knobs a bit, and point to any object on the ground. It should be a stationary object, and this object should be at least 200 meters away from me. So अब मैंने एक ऑब्जेक्ट चूज़ किया, वहाँ पे एक लाइट जल रही है बहुत दूर, और उस लाइट को मेरे को टेलीस्कोप के किसी ऐसे पार्ट से देखना है जहाँ पे मैं उसको बिल्कुल अलाइन करके एक आंख बंद करके देख रहा हूँ, और जैसे मेरे को ये दो स्क्रूज़ के पीछे वो आती हुई नज़र आ रही है. So this will give me a rough pointing guide to the point that object, and then I have to, okay, voila, I got this light at one go. Fortunately, it wasn't that difficult. Now I have focused it. Ab I have to lock my telescope. You can see, because it is in balanced position, my telescope, wherever I am leaving it, it's staying at that position. अब मैंने इसको lock कर दिया है, and that light is still there. It has not moved, and that object is not moving, and as long as I'm not touching the telescope, this light is going to stay right inside the eyepiece. Now I can see that the red dot is not exactly on it. So the objective of this step is that we have to match the red dot seen here with that object which I have put inside this. To do that, there are two knobs. One is this one is this one. So moving this dot moves the finder scope left and right. This type of finder scope is also popularly known as the reflex finders. There are different types. One is called Telrad, one is called red dot. This particular is just a simple red dot, but a very effective one. Okay, so by using these two knobs, I have to adjust the red light so that this red light overlaps. Okay, it is done. Finder alignment step is done. Now the telescope is ready to use. Right now, okay, I can see a bright dot right there in the sky, which is, if I don't know, I can use that app and find out that that is planet Jupiter, and then if that's the planet I want, I will again use these lock knobs and open it. Now it's very simple. This finder is on and it's very quick. So lock and lock. Now once the telescope is locked, it's not a good idea to move it or the mount will be damaged. So now it's the time to use these slow motion knobs. यहाँ पे आपको दो slow motion knobs नज़र आ रही हैं. So I'm using the slow motion knobs to get that red dot exactly on Jupiter. Okay, it's on Jupiter, and I can see the Jupiter inside the eyepiece right here. And then if the Jupiter is not properly focused or you see a blurry image, it's not sharp, don't worry at all. It's meant to be like this because right now we have not focused the image. So focusing is done by moving these two knobs. Okay, I can see planet Jupiter along with its 4 Galilean moons and stripes on it. So now Jupiter is right there in the middle of the circle which I see. That circle is called the field of view of the eyepiece, but the Earth is turning. So the beauty of this mount is now I will use this particular knob to track planet Jupiter. So that means I'm looking at it and I will slowly move this knob every 30 seconds or every 1 minute. I'll keep moving it. This will very gently move the telescope and bring the Jupiter back in view. So why was Jupiter moving again? Because it's like when you're sitting in a moving car, you see that the trees next to you move backwards. Same way as the Earth is moving eastwards, all the objects appear to rise from the east and move towards the west. So this is what this knob counters. So this makes this telescope very suitable for tracking any object for long duration of times. That is why इस telescope से आप अगर astrophotography करना चाहते हो, जिसके लिए डीप स्काई ऑब्जेक्ट्स में जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा देर तक आपको एक ऑब्जेक्ट को ट्रैक करना पड़ता है, तो दिस टेलीस्कोप माउंट इज़ यूजफुल. वन टिप आई कैन गिव बिफोर लीविंग इज़ that wherever you start using a telescope, always start with any terrestrial object in daytime. It will make it easy for you to get the hang of your telescope. And when you are starting in the night sky, always use the telescope to point to moon first, and it's the easiest object to observe in the night sky, and then go on to planets. And as your skill level develops, you can start observing deep sky objects as well. Thank you very much for watching this video. Vikrant Narang signing off.